Well, hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to Vlogmas day 20. 20! Oh my gosh. So, I've probably said that every day for the last few days, but anyway, as you can see, we're in the car. We're heading back from some errands, and I just thought I would say hi. When I say we, G isn't here or anything, I mean we. I'm talking about you, you're in the car with me. Anyway, we're heading back from some errands. I'm nearly home, and I thought I'd check in with you quickly. We've got 3 interviews going today for the teaching position, so hopefully there'll be some lovely people and one of them at least will be suitable for the position. Yeah. My favourite way for interviews to go is for one of them to be, like, of the whole week of interviews, to be a clear front runner who is definitely interested in the job. It's not my favourite to have 2 very qualified people, because then you're like torn between them. But anyway, it is good to have a backup. So there's goods and bads in everything, right? So yeah, we've got interviews today, but in between that I have to put together the concept collection. So this is, if you're not a member, you won't be familiar with this, or if you just maybe missed this in the membership, I know there's a lot of things going on. This is something we started this year, 2023, the concept collections, and they are books of sheet music about a specific theme. So each book is one specific teaching concept, that's why it's called a concept collection, and I get guest composers to write pieces for it. And yeah, they've been a big hit with the members who have used them. People seem to really enjoy them, so we're continuing that into next year. We skip the Christmas period, because other than putting out a Christmas book, it really doesn't make sense to have something big going on in December, January, because it's just a quiet time. I mean, Australia is on summer holidays, Australia and New Zealand, and even over here, like, there's a lot of breaks going on and recitals, and people have other things. So our next one is in February, and I really want to get it put together in its first draft before I take my Christmas break. So have you heard that? That was a very loud lorry, like a construction lorry. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing this morning. So I've been going through the manuscripts. The team member who sets those up does the initial setup inside the music notation software, because we need to reformat everything so that everything's consistent. Like, the composers write the pieces, then they give them to us and we re-notate the whole thing. So it doesn't really matter whether they write it by hand or in notation software themselves. And there's an ambulance. We're beside a hospital, so it makes sense. But I don't think it's not going to this hospital. Anyway, so yeah, I've been going over those, checking the details, so cross-checking with the composer's actual manuscripts, you know, and to make sure we didn't miss any of their things. It's the first pass of making sure we didn't miss any of their things, any details, any notes wrong, stuff like that, and then choices that we make that are slightly different to the way, you know, there are a lot of choices within music notation about, you know, which things are italic and which things go where, and there's some things that are rules and there's some things that are choices. So we have to make ours consistent across everything, and yeah, make them all look like they go together, basically. This is a complicated junction. That's why I paused. Anyway, so I've been starting on that this morning. I'm doing the setup, and I've also made a vow to myself that I need to do the initial setup for the other 3 volumes for the next year soon, like ideally over the holiday break. I try not to give myself too, like, I will take time off as well. I'm not just like overloading my plate and working constantly, but it is also quiet time when I can get stuff done without it feeling stressful, because I don't have teaching in the afternoon. So there's a balance to be found there, right, as in everything. So anyway, I need to get the initial set, because I hadn't even done like the stuff I could have done in advance for this book. bold. Didn't have time. Anyway, so yeah, we're doing that. We're doing the interviews, and then later today I'm going to come on and talk to you about online lessons, because that's the request I've had from someone. So to talk about the setup for online lessons, or the commenter said video lessons, so I'm going to explain the difference in what I mean by those terms and everything. So I'll make time to come on later today to talk to you about that, but right now we're heading back and we're going to do some interviews. See you later. Hello again, folks. So it is the afternoon now. It's around 3. This is my later start teaching day, although I've just realised that this is the last Wednesday that I'll have this schedule, because in the new year I have to take over a couple of students for the other teacher who's currently teaching right now, because their college schedule is changing. Anyway, that means that I'm going to be teaching at this time from January, when we restart in January. So yeah, just enjoying my afternoon of freedom. Normally I have the YouTube show at this time, which is why the schedule was like this anyway, so it's not like I've actually been free, apart from this one magical Wednesday. And then obviously we're about to have a teaching break. Anyway, so yeah, it's around 3, just after 3. And I've done the interviews since I last talked to you, done a bit of exercise, taking it easy after I was sick, so just a shorter session, and then yeah, exactly what I was talking to you about. So I finished what I can do for now on our concept collection book, because there's 2 more manuscripts I'm waiting on our team member to convert. He's on it, he said, today, so hopefully I can do that tomorrow morning and get them off to the composers, or get it to our team member to review and then off to the composers. That's the goal. Anyway, we'll see how it goes, because I wanted to get it to them before the holiday break. Not that they'll look at it over the holidays, so what's the rush? But I was supposed to get it out anyway. And then also been doing some stuff for the practice symposium. So again, if you want to sign up for that, the easy link is vibrantmusicteaching.com/ps for practice symposium. So vibrantmusicteaching.com/ps. And it's on an early bird rate until 31st of December. I just realised I wrote January somewhere, so I'm going to fix that. 31st of December, New Year's Eve. My mind is like, but it's January then. Anyway, so yeah, some more stuff for that and some bits and pieces, and also organising my list. So I mentioned to you yesterday I'd done a bit of a brain emptying and written out a list of all the things I could be doing, and now I'm organising, okay, what has to happen before we wrap up tomorrow so that we can just get the most important stuff done, and then what has to happen before we return to teaching in January. Those are my 2 sort of lists, and I've added some gold pen to the titles of them because that makes it fun. Anyway, that's been my day since I've talked to you. And then I have teaching this afternoon. But I wanted to talk to you about online lessons, because that was the question I got. So the comment said, can you talk more about video lessons and the technology involved in that? That's not an exact quote, but that's roughly what it said. And I wanted to start by actually clarifying, and this isn't me being pedantic, and you can use whatever words you like in your studio, but I just want to clarify what I mean when I use these terms, because it helps us know what we're talking about, right? So when I say video lessons, I mean asynchronous video lessons, and when I say online lesson, I mean in real time on something like Zoom or any other online video conferencing or video calling software, right? So the commenter, it sounded like they meant online lessons, but they said video lessons. So I just wanted to clarify that first, and I'll talk about what I do for both. So technology that is required is very little. So if we're talking about online lessons, meaning happening in real time, like for example, your student is contagious, so they shouldn't come to your house, but they feel fine, like they were out of school today, but they're feeling fine by the afternoon. That happens a lot with kids, I find. Or their minder is looking after them and they don't have a car, so they can't bring them over here, but they're perfectly available at the lesson time, right? So it's at their regular lesson time. Or it could not be, but in my case, that's what it always is. So yeah, when we're doing online lessons, I always want us to have an overhead view and a face view, okay? And then for the student, I just want them to have the side view of the piano, is how I tell them to set it up. It really is easier if you can have an overhead camera, because especially for beginners, because they just have less musical vocabulary. That's really the thing. So if you have students who are intermediate advanced, sometimes I need to demonstrate things for them for sure. But if it's like a one-off online lesson, they're not online all the time, then I don't always need to use the piano. Like I can do the lesson just fine without it at all if I have to. But for beginners, you know, if we're teaching rote pieces, obviously they need to be able to see what we're doing. Even if we're just demonstrating something or asking them to go from a certain spot in their music, it is easier if we're able to show them on the overhead camera, show them the book, show them our hands on the piano, etc. So I would say if you're going to do online lessons and make them a really good experience for students, an overhead camera and either side on or, you know, head view camera is best. The setup, this came up a lot during COVID, obviously, and the setup so depends on your individual circumstances. So you can see examples of different setups on different YouTube videos I've done. I suggest you look at those because obviously I set things up differently than I am during Vlogmas, and I showed like the different viewpoints so you could see what's going on and different options for setting up an overhead camera. But it does vary because you may have a grand piano, you may have one like this which is a hybrid, which has this flat surface as if it's a grand piano, or you might have an upright, and your upright could be against a wall, it could be in an alcove. Like there's so many different circumstances. So this piano, it has, like, it's at the height that a grand piano would be at, because that's what it's imitating. It's a hybrid piano, but so it's not the full depth. Let's call it depth, length, whatever. It doesn't go back that way. As far, obviously, it's not 9 feet, but it is at this height. Whereas if you have an upright piano that's up higher, the setup I have here isn't going to work as well. Now I'm kind of pointing at it, but you can't see the camera, but you can see the tripod there, right? So if I just angle it up a little bit, you can see that's the camera there. And yeah, that's what works for me in this room. In the other room, we have another hybrid piano, but it is pretending to be an upright piano. So that means it goes up higher, which means that this setup wouldn't work. And anyway, the camera I have in there is a webcam, not a camera, which is what this is. So like there's so many variables. So in there, I have a separate stand. It's a mic stand. Isn't that the one I have in there? Yeah, it's a mic stand. And the webcam I have is incredibly stupid. It's the only thing I can say about that, because it doesn't have the thing for you to screw into, like the inlet in the bottom. It doesn't have anything to accept a tripod. They just made it smooth because they just wanted to be difficult. I don't know. But it's what we have. So like, we're not going to throw away a perfectly good webcam. So I have, that one is attached through creative means, let's put it that way, to the microphone stand. And it looks, so when those teachers have an online lesson, they just put it behind the piano stool and it looks over the shoulder of the teacher for them to see. So that's the setup in there. What else? Then in here, if I'm doing a lot of online lessons, so when I was teaching a lot online rather than one-off occasional lessons, I actually had 3 cameras set up. That's because my computer is over there. You've had a tour earlier in Vlogmas. If you didn't see that and you're wondering, you can check that out. But this is the only way for this room to work. It's basically a square, but with like a boiler in it and all sorts of stuff going on. So my computer desk is over there, which means I have the webcam on my computer. I use that as my like face to them camera. But when I was teaching a lot online, I had another webcam where you are now so that you could get this exact view, okay? And I switched between the three of them, the overhead cam, that one, and the face to the camera. So if I needed to be at my computer to do something, they saw that view of me. If I was at the piano and showing them from the side and from above, I used those two. That's overkill, but I'm just giving you options because different room setups and different pianos and everything, there's so much to consider. Now, the bigger factor will be sound. Sound is obviously really important in online lessons, and you can't do much about what you're hearing from your students' end, especially when it's a one-off. Like, if you had a student who was online all the time, you might be able to nudge them to invest in a simple microphone or something, but yeah, you can't do a lot about that, but you can do something about your own sound, and I think getting some kind of a microphone is very useful. So what I have, again, because of the setup that I have here, that's actually the reason I have this mic that I'm talking to you in right now. And hopefully you're hearing me fine. This is a Rode Go 2. I think I've got that right. And it has a receiver. Can I show you without disconnecting you? Let's see. Yeah, you can see it from there. Okay. It has this receiver. So that's what's plugged into right now into the phone, but normally I would have it plugged into my computer. And that's so that, yeah, I have the pair of them. So I use that if I have buddy students and, you know, we need to hear both of us. And it's also, the main reason I have it is so that I was able to move around. When I was teaching online, I had to go to the computer and then sit over at the piano and go back and forth. I wanted them to still be able to hear me, so that's why I went with a lav option. And yeah, it's handy for lots of things in my business, so it's worked out well, but that probably isn't the best option for you. A simple USB mic is probably going to be the best upgrade you can make. If you want to look into something a little bit fancier, but not too fancy, you can look at my video about my Yamaha AG06. AG06. So that's sitting over there. I didn't actually show it on my tour, I had forgotten. And it's too dark in that corner for you to see anything right now. So check out that review that I did and where I explained what I was using it for. But basically it's a very simple USB audio interface. And it means that I can connect this piano directly into that, plus this mic also connects into that, so that it comes through to the computer in one feed, right? So they can hear the piano very clearly and the microphone, and I use it for a lot of my recording stuff. Again, overkill for you, most likely. As is, by the way, getting a proper camera like that. I have to, because I do the live stream from my office, and then I record like scales videos and stuff here, but like you don't need that. Get a simple webcam. That's more than enough resolution. Or an old phone or something, there's ways to plug that in and set it up. Hope that gives you some idea. That's all I would recommend. You don't need anything else for online lessons. You just need some way to look at your face. That can be the inbuilt webcam. Some way to look at an overhead view of the piano. That can be a phone, a webcam, anything you have around, or buy a very cheap webcam. Don't go too cheap, just do look at the reviews, because webcams can be very bad, I've discovered. So do go with one that's like a Logitech or a proper brand. But yeah, just that. And then if you want to upgrade your audio, I've given you some options there too. In terms of the actual software side of things, opinions vary. As I mentioned, I'm still using Zoom. Not because I think it's the best, but because all the families in my studio already know how to use it and it works fine for us. And we're only using it occasionally, right? We're only using it for if somehow it snows again in Ireland. Like that happens once every 3 years or something. So like they can't make it to the studio for inclement weather, or they're contagious but feeling fine, or there's like a car issue or something like that. Those are the only reasons. So Zoom is the simplest for us. all the parents know how to use it because of work and stuff, so that's what we still use. I know the audio isn't the most amazing you can get, and I'm not going to mention specific ones, but there are various softwares you can look at that are specifically designed for music lessons and kind of optimized for the audio versus the video, which is what we want. But again, Zoom is just simple for us, and I have it anyway for business, and that's why we use it. Okay. Now, briefly about the video lessons that I mentioned, right? So video lessons to me are asynchronous. That means I'm recording a video and the student is not live online watching me. I'm just recording a video and then sending it to them. So what we use for this is our practice app, Vivid Practice, and this is for if a student is not available at their actual lesson time. Full transparency, this option, mostly the biggest function it serves in my business is as a bit of a cushion. It's so that, when parents get in touch with you and they say, oh, we can't make our lesson, can we please move it or whatever? Many of you will know my answer is no, but it's nice to have a no, but here are your options. So no, but if they are available at the time, they can do an online lesson. If they're not available at the time, you can do a video lesson. Here's how you do it. You record a video before the lesson time and send it to us, and we will respond during the lesson time. Do most families do that? No, but the option is there. In fact, the option is always there. Like if any student records a video in between lessons and sends it to us, and it would require video to respond, we're probably going to do that. But it just gives them the extra comfort of knowing they have an option, and it kind of puts the ball in their court, right? So if they want to make use of that, that's awesome. Most of them won't, but that's kind of on them. Like it is effort to sit down and get your child to record a video, but it's also effort for us to record a video. And the reason I didn't always do it that way, that they had to record a video first and we would reply with the one. But we do it that way now because otherwise you'll record a video and they won't watch it, and then you feel bitter and they feel like I didn't even ask for a video. So, it's just not a good situation. So that's why I prefer it that way around. But for that, the technology is the same. Like I'm usually, almost the same. Most of the time when I record video lessons, like in advance or whatever, I'm just showing the overhead view. That's generally what I'm doing. So I have my mic on so that I can talk to them, but I just show the overhead view of the piano because it's generally a shorter thing that I need to show them. So yeah, hopefully that gives you some info and answers your question. If anyone else has a question, there's 4 days of Vlogmas left? Yeah, 4 days, because we'll finish up on Christmas Eve. So let me know. Get your questions answered. You can comment them and I'll make sure to answer if it's something I'm able to answer. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. I'm going to get ready for teaching now. I have my very serious grade 8 student first. They're not serious. I just mean the work is serious. Like Gershwin preludes are no joke, right? And then I have a couple of other students who are preparing for earlier grade exams, but 3 exam students today. That's unusual. And then I have a couple more interviews tomorrow, so we'll see how they go and I'll report back on that. Also tomorrow is my favorite thing of the month, like one of my favorite things that happens every month, which is I have a meeting with 3 other business owners who run membership businesses, nothing to do with piano teaching, different spaces. It's like a mastermind kind of group. Just 3 awesome women running businesses, and we kind of support each other and talk about things that come up. So yeah, it's my favorite thing. If you don't already have some kind of a group that you meet with that do what you do, whether that's your teaching thing or whether it's like, I don't know, you run a sideline knitting gloves, like, or whatever you do. If it's something that's a big part of your life, see if you can get together a group of people. Like these women are 2 in the US and 1 in Canada, so they're nowhere near me. Hopefully one day I'll get to meet them in person, but it makes such a difference just to connect with people who are going through what you're going through or can give you different perspectives, and yeah, it's awesome. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow, as well as my interviews. 2 more interviews, I think. 1 is yet to confirm, so we'll see, but definitely 1 more interview. And then wrapping up work and trying to get everything done as much as possible so we can be off, finished, finito on Friday. That's the goal. I'll see you tomorrow.